There's a reason why that capacity is the only currency for leadership performance in 2026. And that's the reality, is that the environment is moving so fast and changing on a daily basis. Most people don't understand that they are running on old operating systems that haven't got the ability to perform in times that matter. Now, when it comes down to leadership performance, most see leadership performance as one entity. They try and split it into whether it's a mental performance thing, a human behavior thing, a delegation thing. They talk about the brackets of peak performance without people actually giving anybody any understanding around what peak performance means, or the other way around. Pull away the job title and it always talks around just training, nutrition, and recovery. Now, the problem with that, if you're running a business, you're running a team, and you're an entrepreneur and you're pushing your limits and you are stretching your capacity from a vocational perspective, the reality is that you can only fill up your cup so much before you start to feel overwhelmed, frustrated, a little bit dead to the world, or just not yourself. The amount of people who come into my world who have got no idea what the problem is, but yet they just feel off, they feel plateaued. They're either in two buckets. They're either pushing the business as hard as they can to grow, or they've grown the business, they stabilized, and they're currently bored inside of their process because they don't feel like they're operating as on the edge, they're on the side of the knife edge that they should be. Because as somebody grows and evolves, their practice and how they operate needs to too. And the more that you want to be able to tolerate, the more that you want to be able to push yourself, the more that you want to be able to express your potential across the board, doesn't come down to one lever. It comes down from multiple pieces of that puzzle. And inside of Built for Pressure, what we've designed is we've designed a capacity index that specializes as a diagnostic for leadership performance. That comes from different entities that I'll go through at the end of this podcast, and vice versa. Next Thursday, I'll be running a workshop for the Deep Sky Rise platform with business leaders across the world who want to actually learn what capacity index is, how to integrate it inside of their process, and more so, how to start operating and creating sustainable pressure to evolve, perform, and dominate across the board. Now, first question I always ask myself when I grew this company is, why is capacity so important? And I actually flip it when I give it to a business leader that comes into my world. I'll say to them, is how much of yourself you actually giving to your role right now? Most of the time when we speak about any form of business development or leadership performance, we see people blink. They give me business answers. They give me how the business is doing. What's the P&L? What's the turnover? Insert, I don't know, what if they're in crisis, what are they struggling with? They don't ever talk about the humans inside of the performance. And that's something that's fascinated me for years. Coming from elite sport, coming from playing at a professional standard, and also working with professional athletes across the board who have either fought in the One Championship, signed for the professional rugby contracts for the likes of Saracens, for example, or the fighters who are chasing their dreams or trying to get to the SEA Games. It always fascinated me that their capacity was mainly a physiological one, but the bit that separated them from going from good to great was definitely how they were operating inside of their melon and how aware they were in that process. When I got into working with business leaders from a physical capacity standpoint, I then realized that the game had to change. As I developed, as I grew more into the mental performance space and the mental skills practice through NLP, etc., I then realized that the 1%, the bit that actually takes somebody from good to great, the bit that actually sends somebody over that tipping point of getting them to push through a plateau, wasn't one lever. It wasn't one part of their game that was struggling. It was how things are interacting with each other. And this is something that is coming out inside of the performance space right now that is going to change the face of how we operate in 2026. It used to be a case of everything was so insular, it was a single point of entry to deal with a problem and then move. Now, with the likes of AI, information overload, and the way people are wired, they are now all wanting different things. Self-actualization has never been bigger inside of a company. People want to have a passion, purpose, vision, and mission before they have a job outcome. But yet, the bit that actually gets somebody to be focused and gets somebody to be more productive, gets somebody to have high levels of goal orientation and achievement stems from physiology. And what we're doing inside of Built for Pressure is we've built out a capacity index scoring system that is going to be utilized inside of my company with all of the people that I work with, because the name of the game is, people talk about sustainable performance like it is an outcome-based entity. Sustainable performance is a governance mechanism. How do you govern yourself on a weekly basis? And you are heading into chaos. You expecting to come out unscathed is futile. but actually how do you recover, regenerate, and push yourself in those times is probably more important. So a question that I've been asked many a time is like, why are leaders struggling right now? Because the reason why 99% of business leaders that I work alongside or I meet or I talk to, the issue isn't an information thing. The issue is I have absolutely no idea of what system I can run with myself so I can have everything thing. We all want to be fit, fast, strong, and lean. We all want to be happy, focused, connected. We all want to have high levels of achievement, high levels of impact. We all want freedom inside of our business. We all want to make way more money, but yet everyone expects them to have I'm out of shape because of my nutrition. I'm gaining body fat because I'm stressed. I'm overeating because I'm stressed is a huge one. Or I'm drinking, especially inside of the leadership space. I'm drinking to decompress. Probably the most fucking stupid thing someone can do is if you're heightened stress physiology, you're hitting towards depressive-based symptoms, and then yet you're fueling yourself with alcohol. That's not going to help. And just to be clear, I'm not anti-alcohol before some weapon gives me a shout on that one. But that's the reality, is that people have got a broken cadence or system that actually hasn't, or it's non-existent. They're reactive. They're running around trying to find the next thing, trying to push the next thing or do the next thing. And that's the reason why they're stuck. And what I found over the years of working in this situation is that the reason why Built for Pressure is different is we're not one of the following. We're not executive coaching. We're not a well-being program. I'm not a mindset performance coach. I'm not a leadership development strategist. I'm not a strength and conditioning coach anymore. I'm not a nutritionist. What Built for Pressure is high performance infrastructure. We build out one-on-one infrastructural platforms for business leaders who want to push their limits. The name of the game here is understanding that your capacity is dictated by multiple factors, not just one of them. And that's the reason why most people inside of the corporate performance space are struggling, is they've got the ambition of elite level athlete, but they're treating themselves like a general corporate professional. Compared to the reality is that corporate athleticism now is probably the biggest currency for your business. There are 7 key drivers to the capacity index, and that we're going to be going through in depth next Thursday, which I'll put a link underneath this description in the bio, as well as a link in the podcast. If you'd like to come and join, it's alongside the team at Rise and Deep Sky. The 7 pillars are sleep stability, energy nutrition, stress regulation, recovery and regeneration, physical capacity, environment and behavior, as well as cognitive performance. Each one of these brackets has key KPIs when it comes down to physiological indicators and psychological ones. And what we're going to be doing is unpacking them real time inside of the workshop, showing you what that actually means from a physiological level all the way through to a high performance and impact level, and giving people inside of that workshop their own version of a scoring card that they can take, steal, put inside of their current process and start regulating themselves real time. Because that's the name of the game. When it comes down to operating inside of high pressure environments, it's a case around you actually having emotional control and focus when you're under duress. If you don't have challenge, if you're running away from challenge, it's the reason why that you're bored. If you're overwhelmed, frustrated, or feeling like you're burnt out, it's because what you're doing is you're letting your ego run the show instead of learning how to play the game. If you'd like to come and join, drop me a word workshop inside of on my social media platforms, whether it's on LinkedIn or Instagram, vice versa. There's a link underneath this bio that will give you opportunity. If you want to register and come along, you're more than welcome. Again, I appreciate you guys taking time to listen. I'm looking forward to the workshop with people that are involved. And like I said, this is something that I've been working on for 2 years nearly. And this will change the face of how we're going to operate when it comes down to helping business leaders dominate across their mind, body, and their business. So anyway, I digress. I'm going to finish the brew. Standard procedure. Not too many this time. And I'll catch you guys soon.